Hi, it's Denise. Welcome to my home. How are you? Well, I guess that I need to say Happy Mother's Day. I know that some of you are not mothers, but for those of you that are, Happy Mother's Day. You know, preparing for today, I tried. The Lord kind of keeps me in limbo, and then the day of, He starts giving me stuff. And I thought, oh, Proverbs 31, you know. Well, I read it and I thought, no, that isn't what He wants you to hear. He wants you to hear about me. Not that I'm a Proverbs 31 woman. I am not. I mean, I found out something the other day, though, that was really cool. Welcome to my home, by the way. Welcome. If you're new here, you are so welcome. And I'm so glad that you're here. If you're returning, oh gosh, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you put up with me fixing my clothes and messing with my hair and being silly. Um, but I'm so grateful. I've learned this week how much you mean to me. And I think I learn each day how much you mean to me. I've learned so much from this channel. I've learned so much from you. I've received so much from you. And I hope I've given to you, that you feel like I've given to you. I feel like I have. I know that each day I learn new things, and I'm certainly not arriving anywhere yet. And I try. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Your comments are the lifeblood of this channel. You make this channel, not me. You make it. I think that a lot of you look at each other's comments, and you know, I see comments on comments, and that means a lot too. Seeing that you're learning about each other and caring about each other is huge. It's like having this big family, you know, and I think this Mother's Day, I wanted to share with you, or I am supposed to share with you, about my motherhood journey and the blessings of motherhood. I can't quote scripture because most of what I would say that I'm not prepared. God may bring a scripture to mind, but I know that He's in this. So bear with me as I share with you what I've learned about motherhood. Oh, okay. I was a child born into a family of huge dysfunction. And I didn't learn a lot about motherhood from my mom, though I know she tried. But you know, it's so easy to hide and not learn because people don't know, you know. I think one of the biggest things that I've found out in my life is that hiding doesn't cut it. I want to learn. I want to do things different. I want to become. And I found that the best way to become is to be transparent and to show you my heart, to be willing to be hurt. And in being willing to be hurt, I get to be blessed. You know, there are so many blessings. And that's kind of like motherhood. You know, I know my mother tried. I know that in the way that she loved me, that she did the best she could. I can't say that I knew her really well. I know I talked to people, and I learned more about my mother after she died than I did while she was alive. Maybe that happens. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. But gosh, talking to people after she died about who she was in their lives was such a blessing to me. I found out that she was loyal and kind, and I knew she was smart. She did things with escrows and houses and multi-million-dollar projects and things like that. So I knew that she had to have her wits about her. And I also found out that she was a loyal friend. And a loyal employee. That she was loved by a lot of people. And for a while there, it was really hard because I felt guilty about not I loved my mom. But I don't think that I honored her. I felt in my heart that I was making excuses for her a lot. I was never a kid that said, oh, I hate my parents. There are kids at school that would say that, and I was afraid. I couldn't say that. I was kind of locked in my head about my life and what was going on because of what was going on. When my brother died, he was sick from June till October. He was sick before that, but they did the exploratory surgery in June and found out that he had cancer, and he died in October. And she was with him all the time. And she watched her little boy die. That must have been horrendous. It must have been horrendous. I was a really troubled child. And of course, having my brother sick, and I knew that he was going to die. It left me without a mom when I needed her a lot. People kind of look at kids and say they're resilient, you know, they'll get over it. We don't. Grief is something that is real and powerful and needs to be experienced and needs to be walked through. And I didn't have that guide. And it wasn't because, it was because she didn't know how. So I looked for love in the wrong places and wound up pregnant at 17 with my first child. I married my boyfriend, and we were married for a few years. I had 2 children, Kevin and Carrie. And you know, I love those babies. And I think that I was clueless. I don't know that I even really held a newborn before I had my own newborn. And I was not a very good mom. And I was very young, and I was a child raising children. I ended up leaving my husband and leaving my children because I felt How did I feel? I felt trapped. I felt inadequate. I felt what's the word I'm looking for? It was more than inadequate. I just felt like I didn't deserve my kids. I didn't deserve to have them. And I drank and used for 3 or 4 years. And I did see them from time to time. But I abandoned my children. When I got clean and sober in 1978, I reestablished relationship. But what they saw from me as a mother, you know, you can't make up for lost time. My relationship with my son is good. My relationship with my oldest daughter is not. She hasn't been able to resolve those issues in her life. And for that, I really continue to be sorry. Our relationship is difficult for her. And I guess I understand. I mean, I did it. And as a mother, I was an epic failure with them when they were young, when those things that, the bonding and the impressions and the feelings of self-worth and the feelings of being wanted are so important. And instead, what they got was a mom that was messed up. I made choices that weren't good for them, although the excuses I made in my mind were that I didn't deserve them. And that's true, I didn't. I still, though, went down a path that I shouldn't have gone. I got married in 1978, and I got sober in 1977. I got married in 1978. Hey! You guys, settle down. You're all right. I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. Okay. They went outside to play. I'm not punishing them. I didn't yell at them, but they're outside. It's a beautiful day outside. Oh, that kind of broke the mood. Anyway, I think I was saying that I got clean and sober in 1977, and I got married in 1978 to a fellow. Oops, I didn't put earrings on and stuff, Marvine, I'm sorry. I do have my necklace on, though. Should I go get earrings? I think not. Anyway, I met my husband at an AA meeting, and we were fellow damaged sojourners in a foreign land. We didn't know that. You know, we thought we were pretty cool. We were still in our 20s. I was, let's see, in 1977, I was born in 51, so I was 26 when I got sober. Is that right? Yeah, I was 26. And I had reestablished a relationship with the kids, but I didn't really understand. how damaged it was. I never had them again on a full-time basis. Up the road, we did share custody. But I met and married my husband. And I went through a stage of not being able to have babies. I wanted another baby really badly. And I don't know, you look back at your motives, and I'm sure that my motives to be a mom at that time were not very mature. I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I wasn't able to be a mom to the kids that I already had. Is that right? I don't know. I love kids. Always have. And even with the first two, I wanted more. And it was it wasn't to be. I know at that time when I wanted a third child, it was because I knew how devastating it was when my brother died, that I was alone. So it was a really selfish thought. And I think that when I decided that I wanted more babies, I think part of it was maternal, and part of it was to fill up that hole. I had this gaping hole in my heart, and only God can fill that. Well, in 1981, my first daughter was born and died. My first daughter of that marriage, Sarah. They didn't know why. Never did find out why. And my dog is barking, and I know you hear it. She doesn't want in. She's just very loud. And I have the window open. My husband had been in Vietnam twice and was a Marine, so he was on the ground, and he was exposed to Agent Orange on both tours of duty. They were back-to-back tours, and it was in 1969, around the time things were really hot. And he told me about, they would walk around with their green uniforms that were orange because of the powder that was being dropped from the planes. It was a defoliant. And what it ended up doing was changing these men at a DNA level, and women that were exposed as well. I don't think that there were very many women in Vietnam, not like in the military now. But anyway, that being said, we were a time bomb waiting to happen. Of course, we didn't know it, and the government still plays a lot of games of denial about this. So my first baby with my husband, Ron, died. And I kind of thought she might be a shot in the pan. I had had surgery to restore fertility. And I thought, well, maybe, she was it. And I had done foster care. Prior to that, we were doing foster care for 2 little children. And I opted for a baby. Because I thought, I gave Sarah back. I could give a baby back. I didn't want to take a baby because you have to give these kids back. And you have to love them like they're your own. I mean, in order to do anything for these kids, you have to love them like they're your own. And I knew that in my head. I don't know how much that played out. I tried. But that was when I got Jacob, and I found out very shortly after I got Jacob that I was pregnant with Amanda. Jacob was born in October of 1981, and I got him November, December, January, February, in March of 1982, and Amanda was born in November of 1982. So they were very close in age. All of the last kids were. We went through quite a bit to try to get Jacob, to try to adopt him. He was through a FOST-ADOPT, and FOST-ADOPT is where a child, they're trying to free that child up for adoption, that the odds of them going back to their parents is next to nil. And we ended up being able to adopt him and had Amanda and Jacob. Well, Jacob was born multiply addicted, so I knew that he was going to have his own set of problems. We didn't know then what it was. But man, you know, having these babies was just absolutely incredible. And then I got pregnant again, and Melissa is almost exactly 2 years, almost to the day. She was born, let's see, Sarah was born November 20th, Amanda was born November 18th, and Melissa was born November 16th. I have 3 November girls. So there were 2 days of being 2 days shy, 2 days shy of being 2 years apart. And just the blessings. I was absolutely enthralled with these babies, feeling their life inside of me, knowing that God had given me another chance was beyond measure, just beyond measure. Then I subsequently had, I had 2 more. And that is Katie and Jessica. And I had them all in the expanse of 1981 was when Jacob was born, but that's the year that Sarah died too. So from 1981 to 1987, I had 5 children, and I already had 2. I think that I didn't know how to integrate my first 2 children into the family as well as I wanted to. I think they felt replaced. I think that they probably felt a lot of things that they shouldn't have had to feel. Being a mom was everything I wanted. You know, I just wanted to be a mom. And when they were little, it was like a mother duck and her little duckies, you know. We were always together. We were always, you know, they were their own best friends. I never experienced any of this stuff. So I didn't know how to look at my children as individuals. They were my children. I saw the differences. I didn't see how profound they were. And I didn't see the damage that was in them until later. I became a single mom when Jessica was just a baby. Their dad had gone back to using. And I have to say that it was really hard for me. I didn't handle things the way that I needed to as a wife or a mother, you know. I knew things had to be better elsewhere, which is a lie. You work things out. You work things through. So that's what my kids saw from me, was that I gave up on their dad. I didn't see that at the time. As a single mom, I was busy. I had a daycare, and I worked with developmentally disabled adults. I did whatever I could to hold body and soul together. I wanted to be a nurse, and got accepted twice for school and didn't go because I think if I was going to be honest about it, I was afraid. But what I told myself was that I didn't want anyone else raising the kids, and it would have been truly, someone would have had my children all the time. So I opted to stay home and to do what I had to do to nurture them and to bring them up on my own. I'm going to let them in. There are lots of people outside. It's such a beautiful day, and I think people are trying to enjoy the outside, and she wants to enjoy it with them, with her mouth. She's always been a pretty noisy little girl. Oh, now, come on. Lacey. We're going to have to wing this. I'm sorry. Anyway, had all the typical stuff with the kids growing up. As long as I could keep them in my little flock, I was good. But then they started being who they were, and that's different. And I didn't know how to do different. I'm going to fast forward because I don't know how long we're going to have. As adults, being a mom of little kids for me was great. I loved every moment of it. Never regretted a moment. They were routines. There were things that we did that I never had. And I knew how to do that. I don't know why, but I did. I just knew how instinctively to do that. My mama's heart was so full. And of course, we were involved in church, and that wasn't something that, I guess I didn't mention that. I was saved in 1988. We had gone to church before that. And I think my kids have always known about the Lord. But I was saved in 1988, and they're pretty young, and they were involved in church, and everything just seemed to be as it should be. One daughter felt a call to be a missionary in Africa, and all of my kids love the Lord. And I don't believe that it's different now. They express it differently. And then as teenagers, life fell apart. We had moved to South Dakota from Oregon with 5 kids. I think one of my greatest concerns was that we would be homeless, that I wasn't going to be able to hold body and soul together for us. And in South Dakota, the cost of living was a lot less, and it was a small town. I thought this will be great. Well, in a lot of ways it was. And my children were all damaged. The Agent Orange damaged them. I didn't know how much, but it shows. They all deal with a lot of anxiety. They dealt with growing up without a dad, which was terrible. And I know there are a lot of single moms and kids who've grown up just fine. It's just that God's plan is that a man and a woman would raise their children and they would be balanced with a man and a woman, a mom and a dad. And that didn't happen for mine. So, anyway, life has its ups and downs and damage, and then there's damage control and so forth. And I think one of the things that I just really wanted to tell you, as my children grew up, I felt like I lost something because I didn't know, and ultimately I gained these wonderful adult people that I get to watch take their journeys. They haven't always been easy. My kids have had issues that have been life controlling. And watching them go through it and learning how to make decisions that are good decisions for themselves. It's all part of being a mom. Mom's blessings. Mom's blessings. A mother's blessing. Where I am now at 72, I can look at my children and see that they're navigating. They're all, Jessica's my youngest and she's 36, so she's halfway through her 30s. The others are, one is close to 40 and the others are all 40 and over. And there's something about the 30s I found in my own life, and I see it in theirs too, that you kind of find out about yourself in your 30s. And I see that they're growing and maturing and becoming. And as a mom, that blessing is huge. It's huge. There are some that aren't, and that there's grief there. Two of my children are really struggling with life. And they'll get there. I think it's one of the biggest blessings that I have as a mom is to find out that they're not me. And to stop projecting, that I didn't have to project. I didn't have to be guilty for the choices that they made. I was able to step back and let God take hold. And He is their Father. And He ultimately, they're His, and He lent them to us. And His plan for them is so much greater than anything that I could think or put together. And it took a long time for me to feel comfortable with that. And I do. I know that they'll navigate their lives just as I have. As mothers, I have 6 girls and 2 boys, so most of my daughters are, well, all my daughters are moms. Except for Sarah. She didn't have to learn that stuff. A mother's blessing, when that seed starts to grow, your body becomes a vessel of a creation so much greater than anything you can think or imagine. And we get to feel that baby grow inside. We get to feel the life that God is amazing. Well, here we are again. There was someone that just messaged me and said they were going to call, and I had to let them know not to do that just now. Anyhow, what happens as a mom? You know, I think being a mom is full of blessings, and it's also kind of disappointing. I think Mother's Day is probably really disappointing for a lot of moms. I spent many years hoping that my kids would rise up and call me blessed. Well, they haven't. Although today I have to say that one of my daughters that I've had the most problems with because we're different called me early this morning to wish me a happy Mother's Day, and we talked for over an hour, and it was just such a blessing. She is an amazing woman and is growing and learning. As a mom, we have to be able to sit back and to take those things and cherish them and know that God rose up and called us blessed when he planted that seed in our womb. To choose me to birth these children was so huge. And you know, when you birth a child, a heart child, when you adopt a child, it's the same thing. A child is born in your heart rather than from your womb. But you were chosen. This is so not what I thought today would be. But I wanted to share with you and to encourage you and to lift you up and to help you to know that you are amazing moms, that you've walked this journey, that you have put your all into your children. And we all have regrets. And we don't have do-overs, you know? It's just all there. And we get to watch our children walk their journeys. And that's a blessing into itself, you know? It's not necessarily the way you'd want to see them walk, but that's what they're doing. And if you're careful and sit back and trust God, you'll get to see some pretty amazing things. I haven't even talked about the grandkids. Know that God loves you. Know that you are blessed every moment from the time you conceived until now with your children. Even if you have a strange relationship, God can restore that, and he will use it in your children to help them to succeed. It's time to rest. It's time to be grateful. It's time to know that God is in control. And our mother's blessing is just that. That blessing of rest and peace that passes all understanding. To know that God has it. We don't ever stop being a mom. We don't ever stop loving or worrying about them. But it's time to step back and let God do his job. we can, well, do I need to say this? We can kind of get in the way. I know I have. And learning to come to a point of being able to let go has been huge. Well, I love you all. And I know this got long and tedious, and it wasn't something that I thought that I was going to do. I told you from the very beginning that maybe I didn't. I don't remember. I was trying to remember what I told you. But I've been transparent. I wanted to be transparent. I don't want secrets. I don't want you to look at me and see that I'm anybody other than I am. I am a miracle. God's taken a damaged, wounded child and grown me up. There are a lot of other facets to my life other than motherhood, but that's the most exquisite. And you moms, you sit and be blessed. Doesn't matter where your kids are right now. Just be blessed and know that your life matters and it was important and you've made a difference in other people's lives. You may not think it's positive, but God uses everything. He makes our stumbling blocks a stepping stone. So know that. I love you all. And until next time.